Wonderful to see. Wonderful to see all of you. Let me introduce our guest today, who is going to, rather, our host today, who is going to talk to us about the phobia of maths in children. So, talking about Dr. Renuka, she's a doctor of Ayurvedic medicine who is also a Montessorian, passionate about early learning in children, particularly interested in introducing mathematics to preschoolers in a manner that facilitates a joy of learning. She's also the academic head of Chrysaalis iMaths India Private Limited and has contributed to the development of the entire iMath curriculum. Amidst her busy schedule as a doctor, she runs programs for moms to be and newborn babies, has given a number of television shows and national radio talks on early learning and development of the growing brain. She's adept at public speaking on various topics ranging from health to early learning, yoga, spirituality, and motivation. She has over 3 decades of experience working with preschoolers as a doctor, counselor, and a teacher. She's married to Dr. Dinesh K. Anvekar, a scientist and a genius with more than 120 patents filed and pending. She has a daughter who is an aerospace engineer, graduated with honors from National Aerospace University, KHAR KIV Aviation Institution, Ukraine. Her son is pursuing his master's in information systems at Iowa State University, USA. Doctor, really, we would love to know, where is this fear coming from? How does this really start, and what is really happening with children? Can you please highlight these facts to us, Dr. Renuka?
Yeah, thank you, Jayashree, for that nice introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. I would love it if you all can keep your videos on and your cameras, your mics muted, please. The participants who are here with us, it'll be great to see you. It'll be an interactive session. So you can keep your video on, all of you, but you can mute the mic. Now, this question which Jayashree asked me, she said, where is this fear coming from? So I would just like to tell all of you that fear is something which is learnt. At birth, we are born with only two fears. One of it is fear of loud noises. The other is fear of falling down. These are the only two responses which are literally inbuilt in the baby, so much so that once the baby is out, to see whether the baby is normal, we do something called a startled reflex. That is what determines this the sound for noises. No, the baby gets startled, and the other one is they literally drop the baby a little and see whether the hands are going up like this. So this is the fear that is detected at birth. So then you can understand that anything that happens out of the purview of these two fears are something that is learnt. Now, how can anybody learn something? As soon as you're out of the womb, you're not going to have a fear of mathematics. So this specifically tells us this fear comes only from cues from the environment and the culture that the child is growing up. Now, the environment very closely is the parents and the school in early learning, especially. So, you in very young children, you seldom see the fear for mathematics. Around kindergarten, LKG, upper KG, they say, I love numbers because it's something very beautiful and it helps the growing brain to grow better. So the children, all of them love the numbers. So the fear is beginning to take off when they enter bigger school. That is grade 1, 2, 3. That's the time when the fear actually starts to develop in them. Now, what is it that we are doing wrong that the children are getting this fear? One is from home. They spend most of the time at home. The other one is at school also. So now school becomes academic. At home, it becomes the cues that the child picks up from the parents, mostly from the mothers, because the children spend a lot of time with the mothers at the growing age. So it is always, many mothers keep just dropping, I was not good in mathematics. I am afraid of math. I don't want my child. So these children are already coming in with that cue that my mom is not good at math. So maybe it is something very fearful because the mother is the only person who's in close contact with the child during that time. The fathers are there, but they don't involve so much in the child. There may be exceptions to that rule, but according to me, it is the mother who's spending most of the time at home with the children. So the Q1 is picked up over there. Second thing, in school. Now in school, what happens? I'd like to take you down a little bit to anatomy of the brain. See, all of us have got two sides, two brains, literally, the left brain and the right brain. And each of these parts of the brain are actually, they have a quality, they come in with certain propensities or properties. The left brain is the number, line, memory, and all these things which we do it in order. Then something called convergent thinking. Now if it is a 2 plus 3, it is going to be a 5 only. The answer is only one answer. So that becomes a it's called a convergent thinking. To a point, logic, reasoning, all this comes from the left brain, and also analysis. Now if you see the training that we give our children at LKG and upper KG, we are doing only numbers with them. We are doing only the 4 operations of arithmetic. I'm just highlighting that arithmetic there because arithmetic is not the total of mathematics that we offer to the child. To a growing brain, we don't offer mathematics in the way it has to be offered. We give them only arithmetic and train only the left brain. So the right brain, which has got amazing properties of photographic memory, imagination, daydreaming, rhythm, music, color, divergent thinking, it can think in different ways. So what we call lateral thinking, out of the box thinking, is usually a propensity of the right brain, and it can also synthesize. So it's not enough that you train the brain only to analyze, but synthesis is very important, where all the knowledge that it learns, it needs to put it together and come to a conclusion or an answer. Now the synthesis happens with growth of the brain. Now that is why I say at birth the brain is, at conception, 0, the brain size is 0. At birth it is 35 centimeters to 55 by age 6, and after that only at age 21 it's around 60 centimeters, the brain. So you have a good 20 centimeters of growth in your hands, the teachers and the mother mostly, because they are at home most of the time. Half the day is at home, half the day is at school. So we should actually look at the way the brain is growing, and the way the brain is growing, it needs a different method of handling, of teaching the mathematical concepts. So we should not be doing just this arithmetic business in the younger days. We have to give them greater concept of mathematics to make it more familiar. Now why I am telling you this? Let me tell you. When a fear occurs in a child, there are two ways in the brain, there are two manners in which the fear impulse travels. One is through the amygdala, which amygdala is part of the brain, which it's called a low pathway. That actually is going to take you through the sensory fear. I hear, smell, sight, and those, and the adrenaline increases, heartbeat increases. Simultaneously, there is a upper pathway which is going through the higher cortical centers of the brain, where rationalization of the fear can occur, where it says, I have seen this snake before, I have seen it and it's not harmful to me, I'm going to be okay. Now, when two simultaneous pathways are happening like that, and one of the cortical center does not have an exposure of the concept earlier, there is nothing to rationalize with. There is nothing the child can say, I have seen this before. Now, this is where we come to programs or whatever we do in the kindergarten or even earlier, 2.5 years. As in Montessori, we say that there is something called a mathematical awakening of the brain, which happens at 2.5. So during that time, we will need to actually start the program for the child's fear to not appear at all. It is not about creating a fear and then trying to unlearn it. Unlearning is always very difficult because nature provides us a small window, 0 to 6 years. So within that time, the growth of the brain completes. Almost 90% of our adult brain growth is given already. So we have to actually train the brain at the right time, in the right manner. There is a method. It is not just like that later on you say, why can't you think? If you train the brain to think at that younger age, they are not going to have this problem of having a fear of mathematics in the later ages. So this is where the fear stems from. It's mostly from the external cues. It is not something inborn. Though they do say that mathematics is, I have a book called The Math Gene, written by Keith Devlin, where he says some people possess the math gene. Though people who possess the math gene are the ones who are going to be intelligent. How can that happen? When all children, healthy children, are born with the same number of brain cells, we are given a human brain which has got amazing capabilities, which is like a muscle. It is a use it or lose it. So if the brain is growing, in order to actually utilize the growing brain, the number of cells that it puts out, the number of associations that it puts out is so humongous. It's a few trillions of brain cells that are available, and we are underutilizing the neuronal associations by not giving enough to the child's brain in the scope of mathematics. So we are not we are teaching them only arithmetic, so they go to grade 1 with only the skill set of arithmetic in their hand. Arithmetic is a very functionally a very precise and a convergent kind of portion of the mathematics. What about the other things which are probability and surds and algebra and geometry, which is so beautiful and very, very essential for a child's brain to grow in the orientation and space orientation. It is very important that we have to teach the children geometry, but nobody even dreams of teaching a child geometry at the younger age. This is the way it actually goes through. The brain has to accommodate whatever the teacher is giving, and the teacher is giving just a small thing. So I call this the jug and the mug. The mug is very small and the teacher keeps pouring it into the jug. The capability of the jug is so huge, and the mug, it's not capable of filling enough into that mug. So it is either way. The child's capability is so high. What the teacher knows is only the arithmetic portion which it is teaching, and she is teaching in kindergarten level. So there we are under a loss. So the fear happens once you are trained in arithmetic, you go to grade 1, you are not trained to do the synthesis properly of what you have been taught in kindergarten, and when application starts, the child fails miserably, and then there is this rat race of these tests which are happening and marks which are happening. Kindergarten is only arithmetic, it is a very convergent methodology. The child gets 100 on 100. Once it moves to grade 1, the child starts faltering in the application, whether you have to use arithmetic or you have to use an addition operation, subtraction, division, multiplication. The child doesn't know, because in its brain it has not built up a capability, or it has not used the right brain properly to analyze and see whether addition means increase, subtraction means decrease. That the child does not understand. He is at a loss when the teacher in grade 1 gives them a word problem. The child is at a loss, not able to perform well. Marks start coming down, and we are a Marxist society. Marks, I mean MARKS. So what is happening there? The marks are lessening, and then the mother will say, what is this? You were getting 100 in kindergarten and now you're getting 80. So now you don't go out to play with your friends. Come on, let's work at home. Because the mother also wants, she's feeling, I was not good in mathematics, so I want my child to be good. And now he's getting 80. Now the child is already angry because the mother is not sending him out. And why is the mother not sending him out to play? Because mathematics he got lesser marks. So that is the first check, he just strikes down on that math subject. Second thing happens, again it goes, he doesn't like the subject, he doesn't want to practice on what he is doing, he doesn't want to learn. So next test, 60. So the mother cuts out his favorite television channel viewing also, gone. There the hatred will start. And as they grow older, it is the girls who don't like mathematics. The number of girls who don't like mathematics is different, because that happens when the body image is starting up and the teachers generally tend to dump the negative aspect. That's another story. This is a research fact that women are always targeted in schools where there is a co-ed, and they give the boys the better chance, but they come with they are already born with an actual, the left brain is much stronger because of the evolutionary development of the human male brain, because they are always the hunter-gatherers. So the left brain is already developed very well, and they can strategize and use estimation, and they are better drivers. Everyone knows that. So that happens as a evolutionary aspect of the male brain. So that doesn't mean that the women who have got a right brain which is very active should still fall back in the learning of mathematics. So this is where the fear starts for the question that you asked, Jayashree. And how we handle it is another story by itself. So now, instead of unlearning it and superimposing something, it's better you start pretty young and then see that the fear doesn't develop at all. So since we know it's a learnt behavior, we will have to go full Monty and actually see how we can actually change the method of teaching the children. We are doing the same thing which our teachers have taught us, And we can't even blame the teachers, because the teachers are being taught, there is a system which is followed, and by hook or crook we go by the class averages. I always call it, I give in my trainings for the program called iMath that we run, I always give this example that you have these black-eyed beans. So you put all of them in a bottle and you shake it up. On the level, they're all at a level, but when you actually look at it, you're watching that the black eye is below for some it is up. So none of them are on an equal platform there. We go by a class average and we will push the children, but most of them go with just this, highest common factor. I know it, I don't know it. I just have a good idea about it, but I don't know what it's all about. That is the way it happens in at least in the lower classes, and what's happening, what I've actually seen happening in schools, and how the mathematics training happens.
Dr.
Yes.
Renuka, I have a question.
Yeah.
So what age do you suggest we start working with children so that they do not develop this fear?
See, I actually told you that this early learning period, the children are all children, I wouldn't say most children, all children, there is a capability of this number seven, without actually counting, you can count seven. A group of seven, you can easily say it is seven. And then you've got this propensity of fractions which are inbuilt. If you give a child a bar of chocolate and ask them to break it and divide it, share it among themselves, they will invariably break it, keep the larger bit to themselves and give the smaller bit to someone else. So this is an inbuilt faction of the human brain. Only human brain can do that. Highest cortical function of the human brain is mathematics only. So what happens is, you catch them earlier. I am a Montessorian also, as I told you. Though my profession is a medical doctor, I am a passionate Montessorian too. So when you look at Montessori method of teaching, we are always sensitized to something called sensitive periods in the growth period of a child. So during that child, the propensity of that learning phase is so acute, and whatever you teach during that sensitive period, the child is going to actually access it in its complete entirety. So this happens to a child. Mathematical awakening of the human brain happens around 2.5, and this has not come just out, it is not dropped in from the sky. Maria Montessori was a medical doctor. She was a doctor who's done a lot of work on growing brain and how the children actually learn. This is out of experience. This is not about some theoretical thing and then squashed. It has been running from whenever she has started the Montessori movement, even till today. I have noticed children who have undergone the Montessori method of learning are very good human beings. They blend well with the social fabric of the society, and they're very good in what they learn. When I say very good, they may not get 100 on 100, but what they know it in perfection. Why am I saying in perfection? Because mathematics happens to be a very abstract science. Now anybody over here, participants, if I say, give me one or give me two, you will wonder what. You will probably pick up a pen or something and say this one. I always have to say, I'm not asking for one pen, I'm asking for one. So you look at that abstract nature, that oneness of that one can never be explained by chalk and talk, nor would you be explaining it like this with communication. Any sort of communication falls short of actually explaining the oneness of that one. This has to be taught in a specific manner, which we use the Aristotelian theory of learning, where every concept has to be introduced in the concrete form. When I say concrete, the child has to be able to use its five fingers, because these are the tools of human intelligence. Whatever you give to your hands is going to reach your brain. And whenever we have seen evolutionarily also, when man started actually inventing tools and stone tools, no, for hunting, that is the time the brain growth happened. So evolutionary, you're seeing only the brain, which was the skull is actually, it's flattened, but the cortex has grown over the 6.5 million years. And why has that happened? Because he started using his hands. It is a known fact. It's not hocus pocus, because the gateways to the senses are only to knowledge are only the five sense organs. Be it be our philosophy, Indian philosophy, or even some study method like Montessori, we always say that the gateway to this knowledge are the five sense organs. Now, if the in totality, you don't give the knowledge to all the five senses, then the abstraction, the understanding of the concept becomes that much weaker. And who has learnt of giving mathematics to a child's hand? Have you ever heard of anybody touching mathematics? or even availing your eye to look at it. Maximum geometry. If it is any other science, if you want to show people how interaction of salt and base and alkali, I mean alkali and acid, you can show it in a laboratory. What are you going to do in mathematics? By and large, I have seen people drawing that line diagram for a cube on the board and calling this is the edge and these are the vertices on a 2D representation. How could a child understand in a 3D world a 2D representation on the board? So the starting point is when they are young. You start giving them these material and teaching them concepts using lot of material where something called an engram is created in the brain. Now this engram goes on becoming sharper and sharper and sharper as we go on introducing more and more intense concept, same concept intensified in different ways. We project present it to the child. Engrams go on becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. So when I talk to you about the two ways in which the fear pathway is going, one through the higher cortical center, it also already has a point of reference. I've done this when I was in grade 3. This should be a piece of cake for me. Supposing you have taught the child a Venn diagram, even that figure is enough. The drawing of the Venn diagram where the intersection is happening and the intersection and the superset and all you're drawing and showing it, and you're not teaching them the Venn diagram per se. You're just telling, we are going to do the Venn diagram today. Engram is settled. The brain, the human brain has the capability of not forgetting anything, and childhood memory is an elephantine memory. We have not forgotten our Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Even today, how many of us have forgotten our rhymes? This is the same thing that has to be done in mathematics. It's not a great rocket science. It's a wonderful subject. You need to teach mathematics. You have to have our children doing a lot of math and treating them and teaching them in the right way. The brain develops along with the way in which has to go. We are offering it higher concept at a younger age. And if anybody at this point tells me, isn't it a pressure? I would say, I'm very sorry to tell you, but it is pleasure. It is not pressure for the child. Because every child wants to learn more, grow more. Doesn't it do that with language? It just all you have to do is just keep talking, and it actually absorbs, and in its input center, the Broca's area, you've got Wernicke's area and Broca's area, so many centers in the brain where expression comes out automatically. And then you will have to ask the child to keep quiet. Half the children are sitting like this in class because they've just absorbed it. Wouldn't that be lovely if you could do that with mathematics with a child? I'm not talking arithmetic here. I'm talking mathematics, which if you take the pyramid of mathematics, the base, it has to be a solid base, and arithmetic is only 1/3, a small portion of 3% of the whole pyramid of mathematics is arithmetic, and we invariably are doing the mistake of turning the pyramid upside down, starting with arithmetic and going upward. So it's always a tilt. The child is not going to be very firm in mathematics. Who needs, according to me, personal opinion, arithmetic, I wouldn't even teach my child. You give them a calculator, they'll do it. Teach them to think. That is the motto of Chrysaalis iMath India Private Limited. We teach our children how to think, not what to think. Half the time we don't train the child to think, and then you say think. How is it going to come out? Everything needs training. Without training, you cannot do anything. We were a lucky lot probably because we were able to do our thinking in a place where we had unstructured play. We could go out and apply whatever was taught to us in school. Nowadays, the children, especially now you are looking at this pandemic, they are sitting with the tablets with the light reflected on their faces. And I just saw a meme today saying that our books wouldn't glow like these because the child is sitting with a tablet and there's a light on its face. And जब हम लोग पढ़ते थे, books were not glowing like this. They were the meme it says something like that, and I feel very sorry for that because even health wise and even knowledge wise, the child is not going to be on top of the mark because the growing brain wants more, wants more. This is the only organ in the brain, human body, that can progress, stop its growth, or regress. Now you want the brain to grow in the right way. When you deny a child these kind of opportunities in the younger ages, it means there is pruning which is going to happen in the brain. The brain cells cut it off. We don't use it, you lose it. It's not going to happen. So instead, you start very early in maybe kindergarten, where folders can be made in the brain, geometry, algebra. That's what we do in our program called iMath India. In iMaths, we haven't even have HCF, which is so beautifully done. The adults have told me when I go for training, my teachers have told me that where was iMath when I was growing up? Forget the teachers. My own children have told me where was iMath when I was learning. And it is like earlier we wouldn't say, we would call it an enrichment program, and children were doing it, and only these parents who were very aware would come and put their children here. But we have introduced these things in a lot of schools, and we have a school in Bangalore which is really doing a beautiful job from kindergarten, most of the children in 8th grade. So we have a very good chance of even tracing it. And I had a center long before, so I know a child who did the iMath with me, finished the 10th grade, ICSE, believe me, very, very difficult, girl baby, she got 98. We don't want 100. Let them understand the material and get a 98. And with an enjoyment, not with fear. They should enjoy writing their paper because they have understood the concept. Now, this abstract thing called mathematics, the best way to do it is how I had told you now about Aristotelian theory of learning, where we present the concept in the material form, and then there is a prolonged contact with the material, and then the brain gets a maturity as with growth, of course. And the way we go on introducing the concept again and again at a higher intensity at every level, that the brain gets the capability of abstracting that oneness of the one. So now it knows one. You show it anything, you show one dot in any language, it will say one. If you show one pen or one phone or anything, it can say it is one. So the oneness of the one has been abstracted by the human psyche, human brain, because during that 0 to 3.5 to 6 years, the child wants an environment which is very formal. It should be taught in the right way. If you teach it in a hodgepodge way and train only the left brain, the right brain, which has got much more capabilities of than a computer has, with the propensity of photographic memory, is going to go down and say, poor me, they are not taking care of me, so I am going to stay here. Now, when we have programs like iMath, where you're offering the mathematics with material, and there's a specific methodology called the trilateral way of teaching, the child's right brain is going to come up. And believe me, by the time the child goes to grade 1 or past grade 1, because you need the 3 levels to actually see the full implementation and the benefit of our program, end of grade 1, the child, both brains are together in tandem, they are functioning, and we call it a whole brain kind of learning, which is very, very essential these days. You just go by the curriculum and portions and all, child is going to fall back in especially in mathematics. Other things you can, because memory is trained. So your left brain is being trained, so anything that's going to come out of memory and rote memory, child is going to do. But what about a thinking brain, where it has to bring in imagination, where it has to bring in color, where it has to bring in daydreaming? All the great concepts were eureka moments came during daydreaming. Kekule saw the benzene ring, the snake holding its tail, and he got it. All this happens in daydreaming, which is very specifically a right brain thing. So this is the way we actually have to work on it, so that the whole brain learning happens, and this becomes a cascading kind of effect. Wherever, whichever subject the child is going to learn, it is going to learn it in a better manner. So you train the child to think in mathematics, you train the child for mathematics, you see the effect happening in all the other subjects. We need this to happen if our generations in the future do not have a fear for mathematics. Many of my teachers themselves are afraid of mathematics, which I also say, because most of us, most math teachers are ladies also. So somewhere there is, and you're an intellectual high plane if you're a mathematics teacher. There is a joke. So he says, children were throwing confetti on a group of teachers who were going. All the teachers got confetti, but the math teacher was not showered with confetti. So they said, why didn't you showered all of us, all arts teachers and science teachers, everybody with confetti? So that those children said, no, you will say x equal to x plus y equal to z, and then you'll find out who did it. And you're going to punish us. So we didn't put it only on the maths teachers. Means you're on the intellectual echelon, you're put on a higher table. True, but why? Because the quality of your brain you have developed, somehow with having good parents or good teachers who appeal to that portion of your brain when you were in kindergarten. Believe me, it is not after that. And after that, it is like lighting a lamp and allowing the illumination to happen. And love of learning you have to instill in your children. That is the greatest thing you can do after grade 1 2. But the base is the foundation stone is laid when the child enters school. If it go for me, if you give, no, I will start at 2.5 mathematics, and by the time they are in grade 1, all the technical terminology for mathematics and arithmetic will be given. They will be exposed to algebra, they will be exposed to geometry, they will be exposed to many more other things that come in. Of course, calculus and other things, you need more abstraction to happen. But these things which they actually have to carry on, very easy. Our mathematics is just in place of a formula, you have to substitute numbers and get answers. That is the way we are handling mathematics. Now, if you want our country to be the one who is doing the designs and not working at American time, I would really suggest that the children start doing their math at a younger age and being perfect at it. Abstraction has to be understood. We should be the ones who are doing the designing here. I'd like to see the day when other countries are working at our time zone, Indian time zone, IST. They should be working. So I'd feel really great if they could be doing that. I know there is one gentleman who's joined us from the US, the managing director. So he's actually joined us as an American, his time. I'd love more of people to join us like this. When our children grow up and India becomes a mathematical genius, it was if you take our thing, they say Aryabhatta gave 0, but after that only 0 India gave to the world. You know that people talk like that. 0 was given to the world by India, and after that their contribution to the field of mathematics is also 0. Except Manjul Bhargav and Ramanujam and things like that. 2 people. He got the Fields medal. That's an equivalent to the Nobel Prize. Manjul Bhargav, he is a Canadian and he is a professor at Princeton and an invitee in India. So I had a occasion to rub shoulders with him too. And humble person, but the intelligence that they bring about. Don't we want more Manjul Bhargavs? All the Nobel Prizes should come to India because it's an application of math, because physics is done using all this. Every field can be understood better by mathematics. So we need to have this to be happening to our children, and we would love to look forward to you understanding how our program works. And we are not a new company we are not a new kid on the block. iMath has been here from past 2 decades, and we are doing a great job with what we have done, and we have elite parents who have really understood the mathematics. It's not like, why should we start so early, it's an expensive program. Doesn't happen like that. It is, your child is better because of your involvement in their younger ages. As you grow older, you lose, they are schooled. So the learning stops when schooling starts. That's what is called. So you start teaching them how to learn when they are young, and then let them free, and that they will take forward. And they are children who are a pleasure to teach because they are so active, they are interactive, they understand whatever you tell. You don't have to keep dumbing them down and blaming the child and branding the child, saying you're dumb because math has not been understood by the child. Very sorry. In all probability, the child was a right brain learner and the teacher has not utilized the right brain teaching methodology. So I hope I made sense and answered your question, Mrs. Jayashree.
Very much so, Dr. Renuka. That was very,
Yes.
very enlightening, I should say.
Thank
Brings
you.
out the fact why young children should be targeted and not when they're schooled. I love what you said about when they are schooled, the learning goes. They are only schooled. Yeah, that
Yes.
was very beautiful. I would request all the other participants to shoot out your questions to Dr. Renuka. Take this opportunity and she will be more than happy to answer your questions. What, Dr. Renuka?
Yes. Please.
So anybody has any questions?
You can unmute and ask me. No questions? I always say there are 2 reasons if there are no questions. One, you have understood very well. Second reason, you haven't understood anything. Yeah. So you can put it in the chat too. Has anyone asked questions in the chat?
No, nobody has asked any question.
Nobody. Right.
Participants, are you sure you have no questions? Should we move on?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah,
I'm Jyoti. Session is really very nice,
thank you.
wonderful. Uh, Actually, my maths is not very well. I'm pre-primary teacher, and
Mhm.
in pre-primary section, I am teaching. So, please tell me how we have to implement maths concepts in pre-primary section.
Pre-primary, that is kindergarten 1 and kindergarten 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, whatever you're doing, Jyoti, you should try and bring it to the table. Like supposing you're teaching the child 1, 2, 3 and all that, no? You start with quantification. You must never start with numbering. 1, 2, 3, 4, writing on the board and the child copying it down and repeating it 100 times, tracing it and coming and mouthing it out is not the done thing. You will have to start teaching it with objects. And when you're doing with the objects, no, whatever you're showing as 1, 2 and 3, not on the chart. See, that is a method. Whatever is shown a 2D will never represent the actual thing. So what you have to do, if you bring a cube, say a yellow cube as number 1, your 2 should be 2 yellow cubes. 3 should be 3 yellow cubes. You should not have a variety of subjects as a red and yellow is a 2, red, yellow and green is 3. No, the child has not yet reached that stage of abstraction where it can take the number from the material. So this is a very Montessorian concept. This is what we do in our iMath programs also. Which school do you teach in, Jyoti?
In Vidya Pratishthan School, Indapur.
Where is this?
Vidya Pratishthan, Indapur, Pune district.
Pune, acha. So you do one thing. You please take down this Chrysaalis iMath India ka email ID and ask your school, the management or whoever, no principal, to just contact Chrysaalis iMath India and just see how you can implement it in school, because we give the kit also in the school and we train the teachers also how to
Okay.
teach. So initially, like as you're saying, and please never tell anybody that you're not good in mathematics. वो तो आप कर ही रहे हो ना, यू आर सिटिंग, डोंट यू कुक? तो वो ब्यूटीफुल थालीपीठ में जो आप डालते हैं नमक सॉल्ट, वो जो कर रहे हो आप, वो सब मैथमेटिक्स ही है. डोंट से दैट यू डोंट नो, नेवर एक्सप्रेस इट लाइक दैट.
No,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are doing chemistry, mathematics. When you are changing your dupatta and dress and mix and matching, you are doing permutation and combination. That's all higher mathematics that you are following. Without knowing, you are doing all these things. So आपको volitionally, and you should not express that I am not good in mathematics. Okay, this is very nice. It's a good question you ask. But whatever you're doing, you must try and get it to the hands of the child. That depends. Pre-primary teachers are very, very creative. I have seen your work in Pune. I have traveled Maharashtra. Whole of Maharashtra teachers are amazing in their creativity. If I teach them one method, they would have done 10, and they will send it to me also. I've seen it. They are very, very smart. So आप भी ऐसे होंगे. I'm sure about that. So what you do, bring it down to the hands of the child.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're teaching, no, you should teach it like this. Any concept, number, quantify. Then they will learn how to write. Writing is secondary, because every region has its own kind of Indo-Arabic or Marathi or Kannada or Tamil or whichever language, Hindi, Devanagari. You write it in different ways. When you quantify, the understanding of numbers happens faster. And if you notice that a child is simply sitting and dreaming, uska matlab hai that child needs special hand material. It shows the child is a right brained learner and you are not teaching it in the right manner. You must be very, very clear. And when what I have seen so far, a child who is not doing well in any of the programs in school, in the iMath section, they are doing very well. So all the teachers come and tell me, I thought that child is not good, but he's performing amazing in iMath, ma'am. My whole idea about that child has turned topsy-turvy. Now I like that baby because I know everybody is human, and you kind of brand the child saying he's not good, he's naughty. Why is the child naughty? Because he's highly intelligent. What we are giving is not enough for that brain. Give him 2 more extra sums and make him sit there in class. I mean intelligent sums. You see, they will silent. They need more. Naughty children need more. They are very intelligent. Unless they, the doctors have identified that this is a problem with the child with the ADHD, which I don't like to blame any child. I always feel that they are highly intelligent and who will have a lot of energy, who will need more activities. Those children will keep quiet then also. So that is the way it is. Not like as a punishment. Why are you running around in class? Come here, I'm going to give you 2 more sums. that should not be the reinforcement. Oh my God, you finished already? Come, let's do some more. See, itni jaldi bana diya, kar diya aapne, and you give them more. That should be, it is a positive reinforcement. You do not scold them and say, why are you running around in class? Come here and sit and do one more page. That becomes punishment.
Yes.
So the children perform better on motivation.
Excuse me, ma'am, one more
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Uh, our regular academic maths and iMath, is it different? Is
See,
it different?
actually, I would say ours is like Chavanprash. Dal
Oh,
roti is your methodology. When you introduce iMath to the child will do your curriculum better.
okay.
But it is in tandem. It goes towards that. First, you have to train the brain, and then you see anything that you do with the child. If you want the child to eat on its own, you will start with putting a mat and giving them एक कुरमुरे होते हैं ना चुरमुरे क्या बोलते हैं उसको puffed rice. You put
Yes.
that and the child will pincer grip will increase. It will take one by one and you train the child to take the food from the plate to the mouth. After that, you will give it a thali. Then you will give it a spoon to put and eat. Same way, you have to train the brain to learn to think and also to perform mathematics. You cannot jump it on the child. That's the worst thing you can do. That is why the fear develops. Because, oh my God, algebra, what is this algebra? But if you have already taught the child in upper KG, ABC, variables, I mean, it comes. Our program is very beautifully done. Child goes there and says, "Arey, I did that when I was in third standard." तो ये क्या बड़ा है? दिल नहीं घबरेगा. The people algebra, dil gabra and all they will stop. They
Okay.
will learn to love mathematics. That
Okay.
is it. Yeah.
Ma'am, or a question. In secondary and senior secondary students, they always complain, and I also experience that वो maths में जो सूत्र होते हैं ना, I don't know what is particular word for that. वो
हाँ.
सूत्र learn नहीं होते.
Formulae.
तो हाँ,
Formulae. सूत्र का मतलब formulae बोल रहे हो आप. Okay. See now why that sutra? It is a beautiful way of remembering. It is a memory thing. Sutra is a memory thing. Nowadays we have got this piece of metal which is troubling everybody. So training has to happen even for that. There's a time given. See, memory has its role. Memory, I am not putting down the role of memory for these things. If you teach the child how that formula was derived, like you have a plus b the whole square is a binomial theorem, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. How you arrive at that if you teach it by using geometry? You have to dip into different areas and teach the child. Both beautifully, when you draw two squares and say you're going to make a complete square, you find two squares and two rectangles. So the area of those two squares will be a squared and b squared. These two rectangles will add up to AB is the area of a rectangle, no? You have two rectangles, so 2AB is coming. So you can teach algebra binomial theorem by using geometry. So there is a different method of teaching. You cannot ask the child to learn it by heart and implement it there. कहीं ना कहीं a plus b the whole square should be a squared plus b squared. वो 2ab बीच में कहाँ? How did you get that 2ab in the middle? That question will come to a child. But if the teacher is intelligent enough to see how it is done by doing the geometry, we train the teachers into doing that also. Means we give you also the tool. So we use mathematics as a tool for the right brain development so that learning happens as a whole brain thing. They will never suffer. The imagination will play, imaginatively they will do the drawings. Every math problem can be solved by doing a small sketch on the paper. If you can extend it, of course. That is the way. So out of the box thinking, how to apply it, that is done by our methodology of teaching. It's called trilateral method of teaching, where we have a concrete method, a semi-abstract and an abstract method. Our books come last. We have beautiful set of 4 books which the child has to do, and the books come out last. We put the concrete method, then the child does it on a magnetic board with stickers and everything. Child, it's further reinforcement. It's called the prolonged contact with the material, and in the end the books come out. Books are very abstract. You have to apply what you have learnt outside world onto the book, right? So if you don't have a prior actual knowledge, and if not abstracted it into your psyche, especially between 3.5 and 6, you're going to always have a problem with that. You will be using your digits to count even when you're 30. You won't have it as a mental faculty of thinking that addition is an increase, and you will not go away from material. You will need your fingers to count. So the idea is concrete to abstract, away from using material. So we start with material till the concept becomes a brain part of your brain, an innate part of your brain, where whenever somebody tells you something, it should come with the speed of thought. उतना speed में आना है आपको. That is the way you have to train the child. Yes.
Dr.
So
Renuka?
memory you have to, yeah. I think we took a long. Nice. Thank you for asking so many
There
questions,
are
Jyoti.
two more questions.
Yes.
One is by one Manjusha.
Yes.
She's saying students of primary class don't remember tables. How to make students well in tables remembering? That's
Yes,
what
Miss
she's looking.
Manjusha. The thing is, primary class, if you need, I told you memory is important. So the tables have to be taught to a child in kindergarten only. And it is to be done through the memory apparatus of the brain. If they are having a problem, please ask the parent to run the tables just before going off to bed or as soon as they get up in the morning. These are the two times when actually the brain waves are in the most alert. It's called the alpha waves, which are very predominant during those times. If the child gets a opportunity, rather than watching a television serial or doing something on the mobile phone, the last thing the child needs to be doing is the tape has to be run. The tables have to be studied during that time, either recited, somebody recites it to them, maybe the mummy can recite the tables to them, or early morning as soon as they get up. Two of the things they have to do. Memory is, you can train the memory also, but it should begin early. So as I told you, when you're in grade 3 and somebody has taught you tables, you can never forget it. Just like twinkle twinkle little star, you remember. So that time we will not train them so much. You have to ask them, one, you have to teach them the easy way, 2, 5, 10 first. You have to teach tables of 2, 5 and 10. Skip counting, no? You teach them skip counting. What I have particularly noticed is, if you teach them skip counting, their table remembering power goes off. So I'd rather get them to by heart, learn it by heart. I wouldn't say by heart, learn it by heart. Means even when you suddenly get up and you have to play quizzes with them at the dinner table, at the dining table, parents can play this game of quizzing. Of course, after giving the khana and no punishment involved. Even the children can quiz the parents. Be ready that the parents have to learn the tables as well. So these are the things that they have to reinforce from home. You need two hands to clap. It's a partnership between a teacher and a child. So they both have to be partners. It's not an attitude of I am paying my fee, so why should I be involved? No, your child is better off because you are so much involved in your child's studies. And every teacher, I know it's a beautiful place to be in. Kindergarten teachers, wonderful. You really, there's a lot of growth. You learn a lot to be patient. Hope you are doing all this. That you are enjoying working with your children.
Yeah.
Did I
There's
answer your
another
question, Ms.
question.
Manjusha? Yeah.
There's another
Yes,
question.
ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, ma'am.
My
There's
pleasure.
another question.
Yeah.
In spite of having the best of teachers, by Khadija, she says, in spite of having the best of teachers and support from home, my son doesn't seem to take interest in math. Is there any way we could bring a love of maths in him? He's in grade 8 now. Grade 8.
Grade 8, is it? Yes. See,
Yeah,
many a
that's
time, as I told you, not understanding the concept. Poor child, I really feel upset. It's not about having good teachers and dinning it down, putting it down their throat. It is about love of mathematics. You cannot din it into them, Miss Khatija. It is actually as they are younger, it's again, see, learned fears, I said. The cues are picked up from the environment and they associate it with that. So please go back and see, it's not a blame game here. Please see whether anybody around the child at that age has forced him to work extra on mathematics and done whatever I had told you. Like, they don't get marks, so then they cut off things and ask them to concentrate only on mathematics, not the other things. He may be good in other things also. You know about the multiple intelligences by Howard Gardner. Yes, now you will have to really see where his aptitude lies, but you will also know. See, math, these are the things you have to learn by the time you finish grade 10. There is no, it's a bitter pill to swallow, but the child has to know that there are certain things you will need to succeed in any part of your studies. So you will have, you don't bother about inculcating a love for mathematics in the child. please see that he understands whatever he is doing. Automatically that love will come. Find a teacher who will be able to take him back and show him the basics. Why this has happened? You should do it because I am telling you. That should not be the attitude. You should do it because this is how it is, and this is the beauty of mathematics. Find a teacher who's not going to come there just by the hour, sit with him and just teach something like that and go away. It should be somebody who says, look, I understand that you understand mathematics in a different way. I'll teach it to you in that manner. I don't know whether I made sense when I told you this. Love of mathematics you cannot induce in somebody. It is to be started at the beginning. You can start appreciation only when very young. Now what you have to do is see his strengths and see in which way if you teach mathematics he will be able to understand it. When you don't understand a subject you will not like it. You will not be interested. You can't have a love of something that which you don't understand. You may be good at it, but you will not like to do something that you don't understand. Make it easy for him also. Matlab, easy when I say not giving him low grade questions to answer. It should be something that he can understand and get him a good teacher who will be able to spend time with him. And I hope you have not said that I was not good in math in front of him any time. Because it's the mothers who half the time do that, because 0 to 6 the mothers are with the children most of the time. So my trainings I tell them it is a no for the moms to even express. Don't even tell them about your fear of math. They pick up the cues. That is how the fear happens. So instead, a program like iMath, which has got already a reference pattern in the cortical center. So when the fear is traveling simultaneously, one is the adrenaline pump out, where the heart is starting to beat and he's sweating in class. The other brain pathway is through the cortical center where it's saying, hey, you did it in 3rd grade. Why are you afraid? Then this will dampen down. Then the sweating and the fear will go away. After this, you'll have to teach them fear management. This is the thought. Instead of teaching them how to manage the fear, how about teaching them putting stuff there already where they can do it themselves and it becomes automatic to them. There's no unlearning happening. It is part of the growing cycle and the child is grown up like that. That's how it goes. Any more questions?
Thank you, Doctor. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Renuka. I think that was so enlightening. And
excuse me, ma'am. I just want to know what is the difference in iMath and abacus. Are they something similar or?
Who is asking this question?
Yeah, I'm Deepthi.
Deepthi, yes, Deepthi. See, in abacus, they teach you only the 4 operations of arithmetic. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. I wouldn't spend so much time doing things on the abacus and the mother calling out the numbers. They do proclaim that the abacus, the Japanese abacus is going to stay in the right brain, and it kind of helps them to. Why do we need so much of arithmetic? We need them to train them in iMath initially, then you put them onto abacus. You teach them the fundamentals when it is a time for it to grow actually. The growing brain needs concepts which will allow it to learn to grow. So you get the brain growth. You target the growth of the brain on a very nice scale and then you put them onto abacus. Okay? So it's a big terror for those children. I have seen it happening personally and from others also. Yes?
Thank you so much, ma'am. I just wanted to know what this iMath is.
Yes.
And
I'm sorry.
How it is going to help my young daughter in learning her subject more easily. How
yes.
it will be helpful.
You are also in Maharashtra?
No, at present I am in Saudi Arabia. I am teaching, working as an HM.
Acha, wonderful. Yes, Ms. Deepthi, you please take down this Chrysaalis iMath India. Mr. Sudhindra will probably giving you a small talk after this. Betty, and you just take note of what all is there. This is a school program as much as it's an independent one. You can take it for your school also. All the children can benefit. Many schools in Maharashtra and Bangalore have taken. We have even in MP, Madhya Pradesh also. In India, many schools have incorporated iMath and they are doing wonderfully.
They will be training the teachers?
Yes, I train the teachers. I will personally be training all the teachers.
And how it is going to help them in the curriculum, whether it is linked up with the CBSE or any other
See, Ms.
the
Deepti,
state code or
what we have noticed is that this program is an adjuvant to your CBSE curriculum. It will not replace your CBSE curriculum. Generally, iMath is done half an hour every day in the school. In the school, it's an inbuilt in the school curriculum. It's not a replacement for your CBSE curriculum. It adds and it helps them to understand the CBSE curriculum better. I told you, no, it is a brain growth program. So the child does very well in the CBSE, not only in math, but anything else also. All the other subjects. We have seen it. We have had a good 15-year-old run in a school in Bangalore, in an international school in Bangalore. And we have schools in Maharashtra. We have got in MP. And recently we've just given presentations to one school in Pune and even in that is our Karnataka in Udupi district. So schools are showing a lot of interest in taking this up.
and it is only for the primary and pre-primary. What about the secondary and the senior secondary level? Is it do we have
We have got program. It's called iMath and Smart Steps. iMath is a 3-level program for kindergarten 1, kindergarten 2 and grade 1. Then grade 2 and grade 3 we have got something called Smart Steps. So we have 5 levels with us as of now.
Okay.
And ideally we would prefer to the school to take the first 3 levels and the other 2 levels also. If you really want to see the result, the child has to be with us for all the 3 levels of iMath. So the brain we train, and then level Smart Steps 1 and 2, the child really picks up. That is a wonderful curriculum that was indigenously done in India.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. You please make a note of this Chrysaalis iMath India Private Limited, and maybe you can mail them and they'll send you a brochure, Ms. Deepti.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, are we done? It's 6 p.m. I think Mr. Vipul has put the details in the chat box, the contact and the email ID. So, Ms. Deepti, you can, all of you can take it down probably. Okay. Mr. Sudhindra, are you taking over?
Yes, doctor. No, they are given that input.
Yeah.
So anyone requiring information, they can just contact and we'll guide them accordingly. That's it.
Sure. Okay. So thank you all on a Saturday afternoon. Friday afternoon with all Mahalakshmi Puja and everything around. You all have joined us, and hope it was helpful for all of you.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
So
Thank
we end
you.
this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.